right, welcome everybody. Working. So our team was the Magic team, and that stands for Matching and Grouping of Interests in Capstone. And we are minor students. In our team, we had Amy Tran, which was a graphic design major, and she was the product manager and a developer. Brent Miller, who is a finance student, and he was the squad lead, development manager, and the developer. And I'm Iklas Manglu, and my major is biomedical engineering, and I was a developer. So this is our team.
Yep, so I just wanted to go over the organization of our sponsor really quick. So our sponsor was the School of Computing, which is of course a academic unit of the university. And so the School of Computing manages the senior design program, um, where students are assigned to client sponsors, um, with where the projects are tasked with things ranging from web application, app development, and other things like that. So at a high level, our problem was to take the program's manual process of assigning students to these projects, um, and this process was very cumbersome and time consuming. Um, so our task was to automate this process of assigning these students to projects, which will save the School of Computing a lot of time.
So I'm going to talk about the stakeholders, and our sponsor was Christopher Bohn and William Browning. And some other stakeholders that we had was Melanie, and she was overseeing all of us, connecting us to Dr. Bohn and us to Dr. Bohn. And she was also always checking up with us to make sure all our deadlines were being met, and that if we needed any help, she was there for us to connect with us to tech reviewers and everything. And throughout our project, it was critical to always be in touch with them. And I would say that Melanie helped a lot with that, as well as Dr. Bohn and William Browning. What we did, we met every week on Thursdays with all our stakeholders. And from the very beginning, we just asked them how was the manual process and what they were expected for the final project. And that kept iterating over time. But that's what led us, the whole communication with our stakeholders, what led us to be able to build our solution. And
So just to reiterate the problem and the opportunity that was presented to us, um, so our client, the School of Computing, usually manually assigns these students to the projects based on their preferences that they have ranked for these sponsors. Um, and so again, this is very time consuming. There are over 100 students in the senior design program and over 20 sponsors that these students are being assigned to. So the opportunity, of course, was to create software in the form of a web application that automatically assigns these students to those client sponsors.
so the solution that we built was a web application in which each file could be considered and run through an algorithm to sort and assign students to projects. And the way we would use it is our client already has all the data for that, because our students will fill out their preferences for each project on Canvas and all the information in SurveyMonkey. So in total, they will have 3 files that they would just pull up from the web, and all they will have to do is change a few stuff in the files and just put it through our website, and then they will click. I forgot what the button exactly says, but then once they click on the bottom button, it will just sort them automatically for them, and it will automatically download the file that shows all the results and what students going to what group and everything.
Yep, so just to go over those 3 files that the faculty of the School of Computing will be uploading to our web application. So there is a preferences file that students will fill out what's called a survey monkey, which is essentially just an easy way for students to fill out a survey for how much they prefer each of the client sponsors. So that's what the preferences file is. It contains the student name and the rankings for each project for each student. It also contains things like the academic year and academic program of the student. And then there's also the NUID file, which the faculty downloads from Canvas, our university's online system. that contains the student name NUID, which is very important for linking to the last file. And so the prerequisite file contains information on the grade that all of the students have received on the prerequisite to take this capstone course. So then we take those three files, merge them together, and that creates a merged file that the faculty members can see as well in the output. After that file is created, it creates a final output file which contains the sponsor that all of the students have been assigned to, as well as the preference that that student labeled to that sponsor. So this is just a sample of what is contained in the final output file. So it contains the project assigned to, the preference obtained, and then information about the student as far as their name, student ID, and email.
So, just to give you an example of how the performance of our algorithm will be working is, so 96% of the students that we assigned got into the top 5, and each of the bar graphs gives you like 0 to 1 means 1, 2, 3, 4. So 96% of them will get into the top 5, and 74% will get into the top 3, and 44 of them got their number 1 choice. So that's what the preference means. So the number 5 means their 5th choice, and so they got between 1 to 5, so 96% got their 1 to 5th choice, which we thought was very high performing. And there is some learning opportunities where we can implement more problem solving and problem management in the software.
So that's all we have for you guys. We will take questions at this time. Yep, so the question was if we wrote the program from scratch. So yes, we did write the program from scratch. We used Flask and React for the interface, and then we used Python for the backend to process the data. Any other questions at all? Thanks, guys.